It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
Bryce, it just sounds like you're fucking during this song.
Every
episode it gets
it's a little
sexier.
porny, you know, but I don't mind it.
I don't think it is to anybody but you. But
Only you.
I mean, it literally is
Gets me hot.
Pete Gardner doing a Sasquatch voice.
Yeah,
And you're-
gets me
Exactly.
hot, bro.
You are now legit gyrating your hips in your sofa. I see our guests
I do
really
not
trying to reach
apologize.
without bumping the mic. He's very professional. We'll bring him in just a moment, but
Yeah.
we're going to start this show off with a new segment that we like to call Bryce Has a Dream He Wants to Share with
Oh, I
Us.
thought you were going to say Bryce's banter. No, so our guest, who you'll meet here in a second, he was commenting on O'Reilly's guitars, and I was like, I used to have this dream where I would play the Top Gun anthem on stage with an electric guitar, and I was like, I gotta accomplish that. That'd be like a bucket list thing.
You're
Like,
talking about Highway to the Danger Zone?
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
something
I
like.
thought you were talking about the Take My Breath Away.
Oh, no, that is that one. Yeah. Let's take my breath away.
It's a
My
different.
breath
I would do any one
That's
of those
the Kelly
now. Yeah,
McGillis?
Kelly
Jesus.
McGillis. Yeah,
Gillis?
yeah.
McGinnis?
No,
McGillis.
Kelly McGillis.
When I was a little kid,
Yeah.
that song, The Highway to the Danger Zone from
Yeah.
Top Gun, if my parents would play that, no matter what I was doing, I would drop what I was doing and run into the room and just do this like spastic
Oh, no way.
little dance.
I think you've
They have-
shared that story on. That's how
It's-
long we've been doing the
Wow,
podcast.
it's been, oh God, I'm
Dude,
repeating
we've heard
myself.
That
about my
soundtrack.
childhood
Oh, I've
thing.
done it a million times.
That soundtrack used to help me get through flying alone, because as I was just discussing, I'd fly back when I was a kid after my parents' divorce. I'd fly back to Reno, and it was just me and my older brother on a flight. I was pretty scared of planes, but I'd just pop in the Top Gun soundtrack, and I'd be like, think of Tom Cruise taking off. By the way, have
Bryce,
you
that's
seen
actually
the
really
new?
sad.
Thank
story
you.
that you just
Thank you very
told. I
much.
feel for it.
What
Have
was
you
the dream, Bryce?
Oh, the dream. So it was like all my friends would be in the audience, be like, "What's Bryce doing with that guitar?" And then I just, and I just start fucking.
You wailed on it?
Wail on it, and I'd be like, the crowd would go wild.
I had this very intense dream last night that was like a very quiet, almost Eastern European independent film about where I was a middle-aged woman who was
Okay.
Like it?
I was like in my like mid to late 50s, and I came to my sister's place to paint a portrait of her, and she had another elderly man there that was painting her apartment all these weird colors, and I made the choice to paint him instead of my sister.
Oh.
And it was like
Wow.
it was like a
dream.
kitchen sink indie drama, and I woke up and I was like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, I think I just wrote and directed like at least a Sundance movie. Like at least gets accepted to Sundance.
It's pretty. Yeah. Sounds.
It was very. I mean, I literally think it was shot in 35 millimeter.
Oh man.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes. Let's bring our guest.
we
in.
have an actor with us today. He's a neighbor of mine. I know you've seen him in something because he's been in a goddamn million things.
Yeah.
You've seen him in, you might remember him from Greek. You've seen him recently in The Path, The Last Ship, and The Hot Zone. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Paul James. What's up, dude?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Get up
man.
on that mic, baby. You
Closer?
Get yeah,
Closer?
get
Yeah,
that
you can
right.
move it however you
Swing
want
it
to
on.
make it
Get
comfortable.
really
Swinging
close.
on it.
There you go.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
now I
yeah.
gotta make my voice lower.
Yeah, exactly. Get that radio voice.
Yeah, how's it going?
How you doing?
I
baby?
wish I'd gotten that note on episode 1 because not happening. Paul, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah.
Paul and I, Paul, we're still in Bryce's dream segment. What was your dream? What did you dream about last night?
I don't remember my dreams.
Yeah,
really well.
that feels like a cop out to me.
No,
gotta be honest.
I had a weird dream. Like, this is a weird story. I had a weird dream like a week ago.
Great. We'll take. Here's a new segment called Paul's Weird Dream a week ago.
A week ago, it's like the only dream I remembered, and it was like I was in this park next to this pitcher named Noah Syndergaard, who's on the Mets.
Oh,
He kinda
yeah.
looks like
Okay.
Thor.
Yep.
Okay.
We were hanging out as we do in my dreams, and there were like these wolves that kept running in, and everyone
this
like
is good.
People started congregating. It doesn't end well. People start congregating, and everyone's like, oh, look at the wolves, and they were kind of freaking me out. And then next thing I knew, there was like all these white wolves, but they were dead, like in like a rock wall.
Whoa.
You know, like in England, like those rock walls,
Yeah.
there was like white dead wolves, and I was freaking out.
Like the Dover
Whoa.
cliffs, the cliffs
Yes.
of Dover,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the chalky.
Exactly. And then everyone was like looking around, and there was more and more dead white wolves. And then like, this fox came. I was like, look at that fox. And he started attacking me. And then I woke up, and then I learned that one of my friends had passed away.
Oh my
so
God.
it's a really
Whoa,
dark
really?
dream. Yeah. I mean, an acquaintance passed away.
Right.
But I like feel like I dreamed that in some weird way.
We've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
On
Have
the
you?
show, like connections of dreams to people that are passing, and how that there seems to be some sort of thing that happens there.
Yeah, dreams can foreshadow real life events that happen.
I'm pulling up
Weird.
That is a strange dream. A lot of symbolism
Yeah.
in that dream.
Yeah. White wolves, dark wolves, the
Fox, Thor, baseball pitcher. Very strange.
During sleep, it is not uncommon to dream of wolves. A wolf symbolizes the guardian of our life. I mean, this is just off the cuff, and also this does have an image of a woman dressed as a wolf on this, so maybe this is a furry website. I'm going to back up. Let's go to
Check your
Dream
sources. Check your
Dictionary.
sources.
Dream Dictionary. Oh, wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your loss.
Yeah.
No,
That's
it's
crazy.
fine. It's just that's the last dream I remember, and then I was kind of like, I'm done with remembering dreams for a while.
So why don't you? What did you do? You have dreams from a kid when you were a kid that you remember?
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Any
Yeah.
recurring nightmares?
No, I don't have any. I don't have any recurring nightmares. I didn't really have a lot of nightmares growing up. My dad was like a Secret Service agent. I swear. Whoa. I mean,
So
he wasn't. He was.
he guarded the president and your dreams.
Well, so like I remember always sleeping really well, like as a kid, being
Oh,
like,
right,
no
'cause
one's
of
gonna
course.
fuck with us.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
my
so
dad's
cool.
got guns.
Whoa, yeah.
dude, who did your dad serve under?
LBJ,
Whoa.
and then he retired in like '99 or '98.
Oh, so he was like
He was there for 30 years.
Clinton. and-
Yeah, but by that time he was,
so he was still
higher
with
up. He was higher up by
Got
that
it.
time. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? He wasn't.
he wasn't like taking bullets for the president.
No, he was like in charge of the technical
Dude,
security division. or
Secret Service.
That's
All right,
wild.
this is
Yeah, right?
insane.
Crazy.
I mean, I'm throwing my phone out the window. Fuck wolf dreams. Let's talk about what can you tell us about the Secret Service?
Not
Well-
much.
Well, yeah, no, it's actually not secret. That's like a misnomer. So anyone can know that you're in the Secret Service.
Why is it called the Secret
I
Service?
don't
Do you
know.
know?
I don't know. There's two branches though. There's the uniform division where you don't have to have a degree, and then there's like if you're an actual agent. This is what I believe to be true. You have to have a degree.
Like Mulder or something.
Yeah,
no, he was
yeah.
with the FBI.
Do they
like
call
somebody
him
who went
special
through-
agent?
But yeah, special agent in charge.
Right.
But like if you're the uniform division, those are the ones you see like guarding like the White House, and they can only go so high, I
Got
believe. And you used to have perfect eyesight, but now I think you can get LASIK, but you can't wear glasses to be in the Secret Service.
So pilots
Wow,
and
okay.
Secret Service,
Right, yeah,
you gotta have
yeah.
2020.
And there's only like, in the late 90s, there were only like 3,000-4,000 of them. Like it's a smaller form of law
Incredible.
enforcement.
Imagine the guy who doesn't have 2020 vision, but he's applying for the Secret Service. He's like, no, but I have great taste buds. My sense of taste is amazing.
I can taste the
Doesn't
poison
matter.
miles away.
Yeah.
Don't
Like-
quote me on any of that information.
Sounds
that
legit.
is
It
a
could be all
blanket
wrong.
statement
Okay.
for
The whole podcast.
all 79 now episodes of the podcast. Don't worry about it.
79.
I think this is
Congratulations.
78. I think
Oh,
we're at
yeah,
78.
we're getting up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
78.
The by the way, the if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, their weird numbering system is really it's like off by 20 episodes. I don't know why this is going to say it's episode 96. It's not. This is BCC.
Maybe we should still
78.
celebrate an Apple 100.
No. We're going to make it. What are you saying? Are you
No, I'm saying we celebrate 2 different 100 episodes.
Preemptively.
So
Preemptively.
what did you ever get to visit the White House when you were a
All the
kid?
time.
Seriously?
Yeah.
whoa.
How many presidents have you met?
Oh gosh, that I don't have an answer to because I wasn't paying attention as a child. But I did not.
Do you have any? So
answer.
we've learned 2 things about Paul James so far. A, he can't remember his dreams, or all the presidents that he met.
I don't think. I mean, we would go to the White House a lot. Like we would go to Christmas parties and
That's wild.
and we would always take people there when they were visiting. You know, when they were visiting us, we would always go there. But I
Right,
was
right.
never interested in it until I one of my friends from college, or my friends from growing up, worked for the White House. He was like associate counsel for Obama, And then he took me on a tour, and I was like, "This is so cool!"
Right? You're like,
Even though I'd already been here so
18
many
times
Wow.
before.
But now, like, I've seen The West Wing, so I'm like, "Oh, that's where CJ comes out of." You know?
Oh wow, yeah, totally. So do you remember meeting a president?
I don't think I do. I don't think I.
That's fair.
I don't think we.
Now I'm
did,
starting to
but,
think you're like the kid that lived down the street from me, who said that he had all the Thundercats toys,
Oh, I did.
and then what? Okay, you are
Every single one.
okay.
doubling
well,
down.
Awesome.
Even when they had like the third season, and it was
Yeah,
like
with the cousins
Kumaira
and all
like,
those-
Right.
yeah.
Lynx, the Lynx guy, and
Yeah.
had them all.
See, that's when I dropped off.
I thought Chitara was hot.
So I had
She was.
still
Yeah,
also
everyone
in that
thought
first
Legit.
in the first episode, they're all naked. And we forgot that Lion-O is a child that is mutated quickly
Yes,
into a
right?
grown man after they like crash or something. But if you go back and watch the first episode, and I suggest you do, they're all naked, but with like Barbie doll parts.
Okay. Awesome.
But this kid said that he had all the Thundercats toys, and he invited me to come over and play in his house because I wanted to get my hands on them toys. And when I got there, he had no Thundercats toys. He said he left them all at his grandma's. When I came back the second time and there were still no Thundercats toys there, I was like, I'm being duped.
Right. It's like a Canadian girlfriend or something. She lives in Canada.
Right.
So did you have all the Thundercats
I had
toys?
all the Thundercats. I feel like I've met a president, but I don't. I feel like I don't want to. I want to
Haven't we all?
cross
I
check.
believe it.
I feel like we've all met the current
I want
president.
to cross check with my sister and my mom. You know.
Dude, it's cool.
That's
Listen,
wild.
your dad was in the Secret Service and you're in a White House, unless your dad was a total con man
No, he
who like pretended to be working in the Secret
No,
Service.
we've got like literally they give you. There's so many plaques. My dad passed away a while ago, but there's all these like plaques and like sharpshooter and
Does your
special
dad-
agent in charge of this. And,
Does your dad have like a wall? Did he have a wall of photographs of all the famous
no,
world leaders
but
he met?
He did not. But when he died, I went through all the photographs, and there's pictures of him with like Yasser Arafat, Hillary Clinton. He was really close with like Dan Quayle's wife because he guarded. That was like maybe his last detail.
Yeah.
Then there's-
That tracks.
Yeah. Then there's also the Secret Service is under the Department of Treasury,
Counterfeit money.
so he was an undercover
You
agent.
found a bag of just
No,
thousands,
but
counterfeit
he would
$1,000
tell me
bills.
stories about like going undercover and saying that, like I can't wait to go on vacation, and like the guys are supposed to come in and they didn't come in, and he keeps just like, I can't wait to go to Florida, go on vacation, and people and then they come
Walt
in and they're
Disney
like,
World, Epcot.
seriously.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's so cool, dude. I didn't know that. Yeah. Paul and I are neighbors. We used to run into one another walking dogs.
Yeah.
And so you're from DC?
I'm from DC. It was always funny too because when you have a dog and you're in a rush but you have to walk your dog.
Yeah.
Like the worst thing to do is like to have to see people that you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you're always really good about like being like, hey, how you doing? And like sort of walking across the street.
Because I'm doing the same thing.
I know,
He's like, we gotta
'cause
walk
you're
these
like,
fucking
you're like, I gotta get out of here. I'm like, talk to you later. I just always thought that was funny.
All right, guys. Before we get into the real show here, we have some
BCC news. That always scares the guests.
They're like, what are they doing?
What the fuck?
I forgot who's going first. I'll go first this week.
Sure. Hit it up.
We have our latest Raid on Area 51 update.
Let's
Paul,
see them
are
aliens.
you up to date on the Raid on Area 51?
I think I'm a little behind.
Okay, so for this story, we'll talk about it. Okay, so I'm just going to read this from time.com.
Oh, it's making its
From
way
a couple
up.
days
Wow.
ago. Rural Nevada, unprepared for big storm Area 51 turnout. Las Vegas. This is by the Associated Press, by the way. At first, the co-owner of the quirky alien-themed motel down a Nevada highway from the mysterious Area 51 site didn't take a posting for a prank Facebook event too seriously. Then her phone started ringing.
Oh, snap.
It doesn't stop. Our phone won't stop ringing. Connie West of the Little Alien, a BCC favorite landmark, told, what if that said that in the actual article? Told the Las Vegas Sun, The 10-room motel is one of few businesses in Rachel, a town of 54 residents now gaining celebrity status among aviation and UFO enthusiasts attracted by the posting about a September 20th event dubbed Storm Area 51. More than 1 million people have responded to the internet post calling for people to Naruto run at 3 a.m. I didn't realize it was at 3 a.m. in the morning.
That's awesome.
That's when all the aliens, that's when the aliens are awake. That's their lunchtime. Into the remote USO Air Force test area in the Nevada desert that has long been the focus of UFO conspiracy theories. The face-forward, arms-back running style is favored by the characters in the anime series Naruto. They can't stop us all, the post jokes. Let's see them aliens. Of course, the military is warning people not to try to enter the once top secret Cold War site, which is posted and patrolled as part of the Nevada Test and Training Range, as we talked about last week. And West, Connie, is apprehensive about what might happen if big crowds arrive. It's a little scary to think that many people could descend on a town of 54, she said.
That's your best, Connie. Come on.
How can you prepare?
I'm just not prepared.
Well, I didn't want to go too far.
Well, I live in Pahrump.
Rachel.
Oh,
Rachel,
Nevada. Sure, yeah.
These, you're always trying to bring Pahrump, Nevada into everything. Down the state highway 375, dubbed the extraterrestrial highway, Linda Looney at the Alien Research Center gift shop and campsite told The Sun she also was concerned about the effect of the Facebook post. I don't think it's just a passing fancy, she said. Lincoln County Sheriff, now my BCC voice is just George Norrie. Lincoln County Sheriff Kerry Lee said that he doesn't expect many people to actually show up, and county spokesman Beth Rowley tallied 184 hotel rooms in the country. But Lee said 500 or 1,000 sudden visitors could create traffic, parking, congestion, all sorts of issues in a jurisdiction with 26 sworn sheriff's deputies and about 5,200 permanent residents, mostly in rural towns. I think they started out as a joke, but there may be enough people taking it seriously, and it could become a problem, the sheriff said.
Good sheriff.
Someone is going to get hurt, and people may go to jail. It's not anything to joke about. So, guys, we'll see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be, like I said, a real clusterfuck and disappointment.
Something's going to happen. Yeah, I think disappointment is in the
I mean, needless to say, there are no aliens there. And also, I still think it's a joke.
Dude, it's going to be the hottest rave of the year, man.
I always get, every time I think about doing something like that, I'm like, oh, it'd be fun to just like have fun and go there. I always think about that woman in Independence Day who remember that, do you remember triggering things when you're a child? She's like waiting for them and then they come and she looks and they kill her.
She's the first one to die.
She's the first one to die. And I always think about that. Like I will never not, it's like when Emilio Estevez dies in Mission Impossible 1 and he looks up and the things come down. It's like, I had nightmares about that moment.
You're
too.
very scared of things that might be over your head,
that might
come down and shoot
you
or crash on your head. I mean, with reason. Bryce, Riley, what's your take on this whole Area 51 thing at this point?
Oh man, I think it's gonna. I am so interested as to see what pans out. I think it's gonna be a huge fucking party, man. I think it's gonna go down for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a bunch of people showing up, not knowing what to do. And
unorganized.
I think it's going to be that too.
I think it's going to be Woodstock 2 times minus 1,000.
Yeah, it takes a lot to actually organize a festival, and I feel like if a bunch of people just show up, it's just going to be a disaster.
Right. Well, it's not really a festival yet. They could sure use a headliner.
I think there's going to be Nevada Sheriff's Department blocking roads and only letting residents through, and there's going to be, the thing is, it's not like this is. I want to speak graciously of our community, but these are a bunch of nerds. It's not going to be like people who are like 1969 hippies are going to be like, cool, we'll just let the party happen here. I think it's going to be, if anything, like the traffic going into San Diego Comic-Con, except there's no San Diego Comic-Con.
I don't know, man.
Time will tell.
You know what it's going to take is some corporate sponsors going to have to step up.
Budweiser
and
already
Did you
started
see that?
making making logo bud cans for for aliens that came out.
They're going to have to do like some side event, like near Rachel, to distract and bring everyone there.
Yeah.
And then maybe do some like tours. But
There's
just
some
hope
money
it-
to be made.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys could do something.
we don't have that pull or budget. I mean,
Or
I can check the
infrastructure,
Patreon account, but I'm going to tell you.
We're throwing a festival.
It's going
Get
down.
some tents, get some friends.
Yeah, we can get some of those FEMA camp igloos that they had at Fire Festival.
Totally.
Yeah.
Throw those up. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. If somebody steps in to do
Could become like a yearly festival,
True. But it's, again, nerds. There's no bands showing up at this thing.
All I can think of is hot alien rave chicks.
It's not going to happen. I'm telling you.
Of course.
I know that's all you can think about. It's not going to happen. All right, Bryce, what do you have for us today?
Okay, well, let's see. Following up with Tom DeLonge after his show Unidentified finished airing on History. Are you familiar with all this?
I know Tom
Hullabaloo?
DeLonge left Blink-182 to
Yeah.
look for aliens.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He started To the Stars Academy.
Yep, and they released some military videos of these what appear to be UFOs, or what they call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. They got a lot of traction, and media has been really kind of taking to this story. Anyway, now that the show has ended, they've come out with a new headline that Tom DeLonge is they are examining some of this meta material, some of this alien metallurgy. Basically, metals, alien metals.
I just want to say, Bryce, I'm
Yeah.
really scared that our relationship is kind of the point where you look at me a little nervous about what I'm going to say as you say that sentence. You look.
I was like,
Alien
does this
metals,
check
right?
out? Motherboard reports, for 70 years, the UFO community has been engaged in active debate regarding physical debris from unidentified flying objects. But the general public got a true taste of that in 2017 when the New York Times ran an article about a secret Pentagon UFO program. The article tantalizingly noted that aerospace billionaire Robert Bigelow, whose interest in UFOs is no secret, modified buildings to house, quote, metal alloys and other materials that allegedly had been recovered from unidentified aerial phenomena.
Robert Bigelow, a.k.a. Boring Tony Stark.
Well, now this is what really caught my attention in the article is like if they have something that they can actually test. I mean, this is big news, It really places a physical marker on the phenomenon of UFOs.
Yeah.
Bryce, always hopeful that tiny metal is going to prove the existence of aliens.
Well, all it took
It's a
was
start.
all it took was a tiny tooth found in a China gift shop to reveal the existence of Gigantopithecus, which was thought to be extinct large primate in Eastern Asia. So the smallest piece of evidence can really, blow a story wide
Well,
open.
wait a
That
minute.
was a
That's
good-
still extinct.
That was a good call.
Yeah, it's still extinct, but
They proved it existed
proved it
in the
existed.
first
proved that
place.
it
in the first
existed
place,
from
yeah.
just a tiny piece
got
of
it.
evidence.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
The article goes on to say these alien alloys quickly became the topic of great intrigue. DeLonge's To the Stars Academy, a UFO research outfit that may or may not be broke, said that it has recently acquired some metamaterials, though it's not clear whether they are the same ones referenced in the New York Times article. Quote, the structure and composition of these materials are not from any known existing military or commercial application, Steve Justice said from To the Stars Academy. He's a former head of advanced systems at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, so guy knows what he's talking about. They've been collected from sources with variety levels of chain of custody documentation, so we are focusing on verifiable facts and working to develop independent scientific proof of the materials.
It's going to be a real bummer when they find out it's just some old Rancher McClanahan's toy train set that he's broken up and buried out in the
That's
desert.
my old toy train.
What is Lockheed Martin Skunk Works?
That's a private a defense contracting company that developed the SR-71 and Blackbird.
Do you know where the skunk comes from?
But what's this? I know Lockheed Martin because that's all around DC. but
so
the Skunk Works.
Skunk
Skunk-
Works is
yeah.
Jeff Skunk Baxter from the Doobie Brothers, of all things. Yes, fact.
Wow.
He got into defense contracting and is now like, wow. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is fascinating.
I know, right? I heard that and I was like, wait,
What was he
now?
smoking?
Wow.
something right.
Alien
Well,
metal.
Alien metal weed.
Well, it was their secretive division of Lockheed Martin.
Skunk
so it
works
was their,
usually means something that's like black book, like
I
not
never
on
heard
the
that before.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Your
was-
dad taught me that
He didn't.
when I met
surprised he didn't mention it to
President
you.
Bill Clinton at the 1994 Easter Day celebration of the White House.
Egg rolling.
But it's very interesting. I mean, what would that mean for UFO if they proved that this thing did not get made here on planet
Not
Earth?
gonna happen,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna hear about it. It's just gonna come back inconclusive. We're not gonna hear about it.
Wait, here's my question though.
Yeah.
So if we're like, yeah, this metal came from space, like, didn't all the metal come from space?
Right.
Well, this is
Right.
so apparently this alloy is micro layered with bismuth and other exotic materials. So there's like you can
So
see a
it appears
picture
to be
of it.
manufactured. Is that the? It's
Yeah,
not
that's
a
right.
natural-
That's right.
Oh, okay,
It's
gotcha,
manufactured and it seems to be compressed. There's all these really intricate micro layers, or they're calling them, of these composite metals that really don't go together.
And it
So-
couldn't
I'm
have been
intrigued.
it can't be like an asteroid or anything like that.
no,
because
this
of
is
the-
definitely what manufactured, but probably not by
By
human
Pepsi
hands.
Cola Company in 1970.
We really turned him into a skeptic.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm
don't know,
intrigued
I
by
just-
this. I'm
Yeah.
intrigued. I want to know
Look,
more.
I guess, Bryce, what I'm saying about it is I feel like this is a story we've heard on every single like UFO show forever, is like some mysterious metal is found and
Yeah.
they test it and they're like, I don't know, and then we never hear this. This isn't just. I mean,
Well,
it
it's the
is
same thing with
BCC
Bigfoot hairs too, right?
Yeah.
They like find
Yeah.
those and they're like, well, it's part human and part primate, but I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like this is just another one of those. So, it's interesting,
And that's why we have to go to Area 51 on September 20th.
you're gonna not show up to
You
record
need to
that
lead
week.
this.
Do we have to go there and do a special
I
report?
think the people want it.
Let us know, guys. Do
All
we have
right.
to go? Send us an
Oh,
email.
Jesus Christ. All right. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more with our special guest, Paul James. So, Paul, we
Yeah.
like to ask our guests, what is your personal paranormal history? Have you ever encountered anything weird, strange, something in the bump in the night that you couldn't explain? Some strange thing from the sky that might fall on you and hurt
Ever
you?
seen a UFO? Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, so I mean, going back to my dad, after he passed away, there was a lot of weird stuff that happened in the house.
Okay.
Right, like lots of lights flickering on and off.
How long ago did your father pass away?
2004.
Okay.
So this is like right after 2004. I remember me and my sister were sitting in. I was in the living room. She was in the kitchen. We were sort of like a half wall, and we're just watching TV. And the volume went all the way up. And I turned to her to tell her to stop turning the volume on, and she looked at me, and we like both looked at the remote, and it just kept going like up and down.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Ever since then,
Where was the remote?
it was like on the coffee table. I was sitting on a couch. My sister was in the kitchen.
Better yet,
Whoa.
how if you don't mind my asking, how far along after your father passed did these occurrences
This
take
was
place?
like in the week and a half after, because I was still
Yeah.
I was still there.
Because there seems to be in a lot of these stories that we hear like this, there's this small window of opportunity for that takes place right after
Yeah.
the death of a
Usually
loved
things
one.
like this happen within
Right.
3 days to a week of this stuff going.
It's crazy, right?
Of
Yeah.
a passing.
But so I haven't experienced anything besides that. But my mom has experienced a lot of weird stuff.
Really?
Yeah, there's a picture somewhere. I wish I really should have been prepared. There's a picture of like these weird lights that were in her bedroom once.
Like orbs?
orbs.
Like yes, they were, but there was like a lot of little ones, and she took a picture, and you can see it clear as day.
Oh, wow.
And it's
So she could see it at the time.
she
and
could
then
see it
took a
at the
picture,
time and was like,
prompted her to-
what's happening, and took a picture of it.
So it's not like dust particles reflecting light
no,
from the
no,
waves.
like it looks like something more than that.
Was there?
Strange.
What's the circumstances surrounding that happening? Was it just a random occurrence? Was
Random
there anything going
occurrence,
on?
like nothing was going on that I know of.
How old are these photos? What was her age?
Oh gosh,
Were you born?
Not
Or-
my mom's age.
Well, was it
Good try,
before or
Mike.
after you were born?
No, this was like a couple years ago.
Okay.
This was like maybe 2 years ago.
Really?
Got it.
Yeah, and she's always, my grandmother had like, old lady sixth sense
Okay.
about stuff, but I feel like my mom's got some of that too.
Like when it comes to what stuff?
God, I don't have an answer for that, but my mom just like knows things. I just chalk it up to like, old women know stuff.
Right.
Yeah, well,
Intuition.
that's true.
Yeah, like a weird intuition, so I'm not surprised that happened to my mom. Right?
And you
That's
never, so
strange.
your grandma, your mom, is your sister. Have you ever experienced anything?
My sister is not open in that way to like, you know what I mean? She's great and she's a fantasy writer and, wonderful, but I feel like she is a natural sort of skeptic in general.
And yet she writes fantasy.
I know.
That's
Isn't that
wild.
interesting? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to label my sister as that, but I feel like she's the most logical sort of one of my family, even though she writes fantasy.
Yeah.
Right. And where, if she's skeptic, where do you fall on the spectrum of stuff?
I feel like I believe in a lot of things, but try to like just be respectful and stay out of things' way.
Right.
I like that, yeah.
Have
don't
you ever
want to-
been in the situation where you might have had to get out of somebody's way or something's way?
Yeah, just not like a extraterrestrial or anything like that. But like if they come,
How about a chupacabra?
I want if they come, I want to be as far away as possible. You know what I
Right.
mean? I have no interest.
Yeah, no, because we have people on the show that have been like, they will be that way too, or like, that feeling of when you walk into a place that feels haunted or that there's a presence there. Some people like really, I tend to be like, ooh, I want to investigate. And then there are other people who want to back away from that. Have you like ever been in a house or like, especially like, I feel like
we
filming in
shot
places.
Something. I shot something. I don't even remember what it was. We shot something in an old hospital. And
That'll do it.
And I just can't remember if it was The Last Ship or if it was The Path. And it was terrifying. And there were certain places we couldn't go. I hope this is a true story, not a dream.
Would be one of the few you remembered. So either way.
I know, seriously. But yeah, I remember being terrified of it. And I remember shooting once. The first movie I did, Cry Wolf, we shot somewhere creepy in Virginia, like another old hospital or something like that. And like I think, in hospitals, so many people are dying there, so there's some activity,
Yeah.
that I don't really want a part
that
of.
energy stains the walls.
Oh, poetic.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's
Thank you.
yeah.
Strange.
What are you afraid of
Gosh.
when it comes to the supernatural?
What am I? What am I afraid of?
Is it like an interference from them, or is it like, do you pull away, but is it a fear-based pull away, or is it a more you
It's
just don't
just
want
like-
to engage?
Well, it's like I don't have the tools to come out ahead in that situation.
right.
Do you know what I mean? Like
You're not Doctor Strange.
No, no, exactly right. Like if there's a bear, like I've read enough books, like okay,
You're like, I can fight a bear.
Well, like I feel like I have a couple clues on like what to do.
Yeah.
Like if I like meet a real ghost, like I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess that makes me uncomfortable, like the not knowing.
That makes sense.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why I just like I respect it. You know, if I feel something, it's like, oh, respectful.
This is what my therapist calls the fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown.
It's something that terrifies me every day of my life, and I feel like a lot of actors can relate to.
I was reading something which is interesting, which is going to be contradictory, but you shouldn't fear the unknown because it hasn't happened. So you should like think positively about.
Oh, that's good.
That's
right?
good.
It's potential.
There's no reason to fear it because it should just be potential and opportunity.
Well, it's like the torture people put themselves when they have a dentist appointment. They do all this like pre-torture in their own mind that doesn't need to take place, and then once the dentist appointment happens, it's like a quick shot and it's over. And
Is this because you had that toothache a couple weeks ago?
yeah, that was pretty nasty. But no, it was it's just an analogy that I always was like, God, I used to torture myself before going to the dentist.
Yeah.
Like weeks before, and it was just like, God, all for nothing,
Love going to the dentist.
Yeah, you do?
I love it. I love it so much. I fall asleep all the time in the dentist chair
Wow.
because like the noise and being I like.
Have you
my
ever
dentist.
had like any
Never
like
met anyone.
major like cavities
Yeah,
or?
I've had cavities. My front tooth is like dead because from a car accident, so it's like bleached from the inside, and
So there's pain associated
I've
with the
had
dentist.
yeah, but it's like
But you fall asleep.
It's like that pain that you just. I kind of love that. I
Like
love
tattoo pain?
No, I hate tattoo pain. I have a lot of tattoos, but I hate it.
Oh, okay.
But
You love
dental
the
pain,
dentist, though.
dental pain, it's like it gets me a little
That's
like.
wild.
Yeah, I don't
Do they
know.
just use a local anesthetic, like with a syringe, or do they do gas? Or
I haven't had gas ever before for the dentist, which is messed up. But
Oh, man.
my two dentists are both female, and they were trying to get pregnant, so then I couldn't get the gas.
oh man,
Which I don't think is fair.
the gas is
Yeah, that-
the
but,
gas
uh,
is the best.
The gas is the best. That's what everyone says.
I remember. I used to get cavities all the time because I had deep grooves and soft enamel. That could be another band name.
Grooves and Soft
And,
Enamel is your jazz album.
That's BJ and the Shadow Bats, like brief
Welcome back
venture
to Deep Grooves
into.
and soft enamel. But I always every dentist appointment I had a cavity, so I was just like, fuck. I remember the first dentist who's like, here, you want to grab this mirror, see what I'm working on? And I was like, and I couldn't like not grab it, and then he just blood flying out. I'm like,
Oh, jeez.
"Gah!" Scarred, right? So finally I was like, Mom, I can't take it. And they got me the gas, and I remember when that drill started, I felt like an F-14 Tomcat was taking off on the aircraft carrier, and literally, I swear to God, right, the Top Gun came on again, and I was like, I felt like I was flying through the clouds. It was the best.
What is happening in your mouth? There's that much blood
Oh
flying
my
out
God!
of
Oh,
it.
I know, right? I could not believe that this fucking dentist made me like witness the horror that was taking place. You know what? If you have kids, get them the enamel, the liquid enamel that they put on. It's like a gel cap. Saved my ass. It's just an extra $60 or something.
I like that this has just turned into a dental podcast.
I don't think I went to the. I grew up weird. I didn't go to the dentist till I was 16, so I don't think I ever really had any deep, like, fear of the dentist.
You didn't have any
Oh, it was like a
braces?
nice.
No,
You
I
got
didn't.
perfect teeth.
I had braces. I had
great
like Invisalign during
Oh, okay.
during Greek, which was supposed to be a year, but it took 2.5 years because I kept throwing them away. And
On accident?
always on accident, and then having to
I
go
just
back.
pictured you being like, I'm done. I am done with this Invisalign
so
bullshit.
painful. Has anyone ever had them?
No.
It's like,
No, Scott Foster, our
Scotty-
mutual friend and friend
Scotty
of
has
the
some
show,
dental problems.
has, he may not want me announcing that on the podcast, but whatever.
Too late.
It's fine.
yeah, for like 3 years.
I mean,
he
it's
just,
not.
Like,
We
took
can
his
always
tooth
beep
out.
it out.
That's true.
but-
Not too late.
But yeah, I had it for like 2.5 years, and finally I was like, and then I got the braces inside, and they broke, and they're like, you got to get them again, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'll
I
just be like
recently
Morgan
just-
Freeman.
I discovered that I really grind my teeth really bad, and I got to get a mouth guard for sure.
Oh man!
Because I have dreams where my teeth are cracking and breaking in my mouth because I'm
Because you're actually cracking
I'm
and breaking them.
clenching so hard in my sleep, because in my sleep that's where I'm my most vulnerable.
You gotta let that stress out,
I had to
buddy.
wear a mouth guard when I did ecstasy because I'd always chip a tooth every time.
Pacifier.
Oh yeah, pacifier. Yeah, do a pacifier. Right.
What is it about ecstasy that makes you grind your teeth? I've never done it.
I just got that lockjaw.
I don't
was
know.
like,
You just do.
Yeah, it's one of
Really?
those
Oh, I
things.
could never do it then.
That's why you got a pacifier.
I thought but I thought ecstasy was supposed to be like, ooey gooey.
You get that
It is,
lockjaw.
but it's like ooh,
You're
good.
like,
It's so good. It's like I feel so good. What's next?
Oh wow, yeah, no, I can't. That's how I am every day. I should just walk around with a pacifier from now on. Hey, ladies,
Maybe not.
Paul, we have a game we like to play with our guests. It's called Bullshit or Believe It.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna test how open-minded you really are. So I'm gonna go down a list of rapid-fire objects or characters, whatever you want to call them, beings, entities, and you're going to tell me bullshit if you don't believe in it, or believe it if you do. And if you're somewhere in between, you got to pick one of those two words, and you can use inflection, and we can always circle back.
I can use inflection.
Like, you know,
No,
if you're
that
like,
sounded so.
you can use inflection. Like,
Believe it.
yeah, or, yeah, that's good. That's great.
You can
But
use
that's-
pace
you
or
can be like,
inflection or
believe it?
tone of
Okay.
voice.
You know,
Okay.
tone, you know.
Okay.
Use all your actor's tools.
Yes, everything in your toolbox.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Set. Ghosts.
Believe it.
UFOs.
Bullshit.
Bigfoot,
Bullshit.
angels,
Believe it.
gnomes,
Bullshit.
unicorns,
Believe it.
shadow. Fuck, you're already the most confusing person I've ever met. Shadow people,
Don't know what that is, so that's bullshit. But it could be real. People in the shadows,
like
creeping out at you.
shadow
Dark shadowy
entities at
figures.
night.
Usually
that-
at the end
I
of your
believe
bed.
that because once I was on shrooms and I saw Paul Bunyan chopping his axe in the shadows.
Okay, pause this game.
awesome.
What now?
This game.
Game pause. Tell the story again.
First time I ever took shrooms, sitting waiting for it to happen. Nothing's happening. Then all of a sudden, I feel the urge.
Where are you? Where are you?
Syracuse University. There's a park outside. There's a park right across from where like a lot of the drama houses were. And I ran outside, and I swear Paul Bunyan was like chopping wood in the shadows. And my friend Finley.
Like giant Paul Bunyan.
No, it was like, so there's these trees, right? And it like on the ground in front of me were just the shadows, and it was clear as day. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was Paul Bunyan, but a woodsman.
It would be like
Wasn't
as
it?
if
Yeah.
it were
Chopping-
Paul Bunyan's shadow.
Yeah, and this is the first time I've ever shroomed in my life, and I was like, that's definitely happening. So I don't know what shadow people are, but I know that shadow woodsman I saw was real.
I'll take it.
crazy.
Fucking
That's a cool
rad.
story.
I
The
like
the only
that
time
one.
we've ever paused this game. So.
Okay, and unpause. Lock sets. Loch Ness Monster.
Believe it.
Little Gray Aliens.
Bullshit.
Dogman.
Believe it.
Yeah, you should. Parallel universes.
Believe it.
The Loveland Frogman.
I don't know what that is. The Loveland?
Loveland, Ohio. It's a frogman that people saw in the like late 70s, 60s. I want to say. I
Okay.
got to go back and
I'm going to
re-listen
say
to my
that's
deep
bullshit.
cut.
I'm
I'd
gonna
like
say
to
that's
vote
The
to
deep
get him
cut.
off the
Deep
list.
cut. Mermaids.
Believe
no, it's staying on. Heaven.
bullshit.
Hell. Did you say you believe in mermaids?
Yeah. Bullshit.
Oh boy. Hell.
Bullshit.
Yeti.
Believe it.
Venusians, aka hot blondes from Venus.
Okay. Well, that's bullshit.
ESP.
Believe it.
Chupacabra.
I don't know what that is. You said that before.
It's a
Devil
goat
dog.
sucker.
Goat sucker.
That again, you use that
You
to
always say
explain
devil
Chupacabra.
dog.
and
First
it's
of all,
still very
Chupacabra's not a
confusing.
devil dog.
Sure
a devil
it
dog
is.
is a phantom
goat
dog,
sucker?
and those are that's
Right.
another phenomenon.
Oh, sorry.
A chupacabra is an entity.
Oh, I know
perhaps-
about Chupacabra. I did the
I'm
episode
telling
of it
Paul
on High Street.
James.
Okay, sorry.
And by the way, go back and listen to that episode. I guarantee you did not say devil dog once in your story of High Street.
all right.
I just still love that you explain like it's a goat sucker, as if that's going to clear it up.
Well,
Do they
so-
look like a goat but suck things? Or
No,
do they suck
they
goats?
kill,
There's
they
two versions.
exsanguate farm animals, mostly goats. Like they find their blood completely missing. It started in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And
It
people
started
saw
in Puerto
it started
Rico.
in Puerto
It did.
Rico in the 90s, and
Yep.
people said that they looked
Well,
like
I think
little
that's
aliens
bullshit
with
then.
scales. And then in Texas, they've seen these weird canines that have probably mange, that are probably coyotes or hybrids of dogs and coyotes, or oftentimes raccoons with mange, and then they say it's a goat sucker.
Okay,
or chupacabra.
I think that's bullshit then.
Okay.
Fair enough. Demons,
But bullshit.
Atlantis,
That's believe it.
Bat Squatch,
Bullshit.
flying Sasquatch,
Bullshit.
life on other planets,
Believe it.
world peace,
Bullshit.
peace in the multiverse.
Believe it.
Oh, all right. Good
all
job.
right.
Good job.
Well done.
Interesting one.
I vote to get Bat Squatch and Loveland Frog off that list.
Fuck no, dude. You don't understand how self-reference.
Bat Squatch.
Dude, it's one of our episodes.
Who is ever going to believe in Bat Squatch?
Somebody did, didn't they?
You did when you listened to these high strangeness
Oh, wow.
I told you.
That's
idiot.
just to placate you.
No. Go back. Hey, listeners, why not go back and download that episode, Bat Squatch, with David Hull, and decide for yourself.
See what he's
go.
doing there?
All right.
Nice.
We have to talk after this show.
Man.
So I'm fascinated because UFOs and aliens, you come down hard no, but with unicorns and mermaids,
Well, I mean, like, I feel like that is possible through evolution, and I feel like mermaids are very linked to Atlantis. Maybe they don't exist now, but like,
so you believe in Aquaman.
I don't believe that Aquaman's alive now.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much of the
So you're
sea,
telling me Aquaman
of
is
the
dead?
deep sea that we haven't
Yeah.
explored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like Abyss
Like
style.
Kevin Costner in Waterworld. He got so used to the water, he developed some fins,
Exactly,
some
grew
gills.
some gills.
You know?
or
I'm with you,
like
Paul James, 100%.
or like in the abyss, that there are entities that live deep, deep, deep down. I mean, some people think that UFOs might come from underwater. They might actually be from life and civilization
way
that's
more
deep within
terrifying.
the water, in the ocean.
That's fat. There's a what is it?
USOs.
There's a movie. Oh, it hasn't been made yet. There's a movie that I read a script for. That is
Okay, so the three things
I'm not
Paul
gonna tell
can't
you what it
remember.
is, 'cause I just
Wow, really?
ruined,
Three things
I
Paul
just
doesn't
ruined it.
remember: his dreams, which presidents he's met, and the screenplays he's written.
Yeah, no, not written. I read.
Oh,
read.
okay, got
it was
it, got
one
it,
that
got
I
it,
read
got
that I
it.
was
Okay, got it,
auditioning
got
for
it,
that I
got it,
didn't,
got
but
it.
it was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good, and I was.
And they had underwater aliens in
Well,
there.
I don't want to
Well,
ruin
that's
it
what
'cause
the
it's getting
abyss
made.
is,
It's underwater, but like
basically.
they were always on Earth. They were like
Right, they've always
Gotcha.
been here, kind
always
of thing.
there.
That microphone stand.
Got a droopy mic.
Believer in angels in heaven, but not demons in hell.
No, I don't believe in hell, and I don't believe in hell. That's probably how I was raised, and like with
Yeah, I mean, I don't
weird
either.
religion and stuff like that. So.
Certainly not. But if you're raised, most people, if they're raised to believe in heaven, are also raised to believe in hell.
Yes. So I was raised a Christian Scientist, which is
Oh.
very strange, which is not a Scientologist. And in Christian Science, they don't believe in hell, but they believe that heaven exists and that it's all around us. So it's not like this thing in the sky necessarily, you know?
Yes.
Heaven is
yes,
a place
yes.
I
on
like
earth.
that.
I think we
Yeah.
can pretty much all agree that heaven is not up in the clouds. If it exists.
Yeah. Heaven's like a cinnamon sprinkles cupcake, which
It's a
they
state of
just
mind.
did away with. And now they only have triple cinnamon, which makes me very sad.
I'm
They
glad we
killed
finally have a
heaven.
platform for you to express your anger on this issue.
Yeah, also Malo closed, which was my favorite restaurant.
Dude, can
And
we
I
talk
just,
about
I
that
don't know
shit?
that LA is for me anymore.
Yeah, I know. Now Amoeba Records is next, although they're moving. But
Are they
come on.
moving to where?
They don't know yet. They don't know yet.
They're losing that space?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's done. They're gonna put in they're gonna tear down and put in a high rise.
Oh, that's what we need more of.
I know,
we
High
don't
rises
have
in
enough.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so great because now you can't even see the Hollywood sign when you're in Hollywood because all the buildings are. This is local chat with Bryce Johnson. All the new segments that are boring
Always use
are
Franklin.
yours.
I can't believe that. That's so sad.
advice.
That's real sad.
Malo, the home of the beef and pickle taco. Boy, did I love
mean,
that.
I didn't know Malo's closed.
And
I
the
love that
habanero
spot.
cream salsa, which I
Yeah.
have to figure out the recipe.
Oh man,
to.
I'm a
good.
habanero
So
guy.
good.
Oh, it was so good, and it would sneak up on you and like make your life miserable. But it was so.
I know a former manager of Malo who's been on the show and over on the BCC the other side, and I bet I can find out for you.
Please
Friend of the
do.
show, Chris Ogilvie.
Please do,
I bet
please
he
do.
knows. All right, another quick break. When we're back, it is time for High Strangeness.
Wait.
I was just saying, I feel like if I saw a unicorn in the forest, like I wouldn't think that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? Same thing with the mermaid. Like that wouldn't be like, if I saw an alien, I'd be like, okay, that shit is the craziest thing I've ever seen. But if I saw a unicorn, it'd be like, I would think like, oh, I was lucky. I saw one.
Checks out. Yeah.
You know? Only the good people get to see them.
I would be like, unicorns fucking exist? Bryce was right?
Do you think they exist?
Sure. I think they did at one point.
Never.
You listen.
I think
on-
it's an alchemic symbol. I think it's like
on a hyper reality scale,
code.
I think anything can exist.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
What is existence? So I mean, if somebody sees a unicorn or a mermaid on a trip or in an alternate dimension, what about that is not real?
Yeah, and also the other thing about it doesn't take much for a unicorn to grow like a horn in its head.
Right.
Whereas like if you had asked me Pegasus, I would have said like that's insane.
Right.
Because physics do not support that is
So
possible.
the unicorn doesn't need to have like magical powers. It just is a horse with a
No, it
horn.
doesn't, I'm not saying
Yeah.
like it like poops rainbows or anything like that. It's got a horn.
Yeah,
and
horse
it's,
with a horn.
I mean,
You
there's
know.
a whale with a unicorn. It's the narwhal.
Not a unicorn,
Yeah.
Bryce. We've been over this.
Yeah,
Still
but I mean, if a
not
whale can do
unicorn.
it, so can a horse. I'm with you on the wing thing too, because there's no whales with wings,
No.
and that checks out.
And whales are like horses, and therefore, I mean, they're birds. Wings do happen
Birds are whales
organically
with
Yeah,
in
but
nature.
all that limbage.
If you're going to
that's,
compare
you
a
know,
horse to a whale, why aren't you comparing birds to whales?
Because it just doesn't make sense.
That's not how it works, Michael.
Oh, got it.
it's not aerodynamic enough, you know. And plus, birds or their bones are so brittle. That's why they can.
They're
fly.
flying fish.
But they only
Fins
they
are
just-
closer. Oh, wait a minute. Whales actually have
Let's move
something. Whales actually have something that are closer to wings on their bodies.
Therefore, unicorns. Done.
No, I'm just saying, if you're saying one whale can grow a horn, and all whales have fins or flippers that look more like wings,
I don't
then
follow.
by your logic, why wouldn't a horse be able? If a horse can grow a horn like a whale, then why couldn't a horse grow wings
it's
like a whale?
It's
Like a
their
t-shirt.
bones. Their bones are too dense
Thank
to
you, Paul
fly.
James.
I'm not
They're-
looking for a
finally a
real
voice of reason.
answer
Yeah,
from
his
our
horses are
guest.
too heavy to fly.
I'm
I'm
just
giving
trying
you
to
all the
structure.
science that I
I'm
know.
just punching some holes in this logic, of which this show has none left. Okay, here we go. Guys,
What do you got for us today?
I've been wondering what this Scrabble-looking thing is.
Oh yeah,
We
wait
shall
till
find out, my friend.
I'm excited.
tonight is like any other night, which is another night for high strangeness.
Good.
This week, I'm going to tell you gentlemen about, and our listeners at home, Attack at Ape Canyon.
Oh wow, Fred Beck story.
It is my intention in this book not only to tell you about the historic encounter I had with these mysterious creatures, but also to reveal to the public what I believe they are. Truth often is stranger than fiction, but the strangeness comes from the clouds surrounding our minds, not from the mystery itself. Thus begins former gold miner Fred Beck's account. I Fought the Ape Man of Mount St. Helens, a self-published book written in 1967. Over 40 years after Fred Beck and a small crew of miners allegedly fended off a pack of angry Sasquatches on a July night in 1924 in rural Washington state.
Yep.
1924. Gold miners Fred Beck, Gabe Lefevre, John Peterson, Marion Smith, and Smith's son Roy had been out hiking all day in the wilds of Washington. For the past couple weeks, they'd been prospecting a claim called Vander White, located 2 miles east of Mount St. Helens near a deep canyon. While trekking through the woods, the men came upon large, unidentifiable tracks. The men were experienced woodsmen and knew that no known animal would have made such giant footprints in the earth. And amid the hubbub, Beck was in pain. His tooth was coming down with an infection, and he was fighting off an ever-growing toothache.
So relate to this.
And he
story.
was really making himself more scared of the dentist than he needed to be, because he, like all of us, fears the unknown. Beck bugged his companions to pack up and head back to town so he could see a dentist, but everyone was too excited about the claim and its gold prospects, and they refused to leave. Back at the cabin, Beck ate gingerly as his tooth grew worse. Over supper, the men discussed the strange sounds they had been hearing at night all week in the woods outside the canyon, and wondered if those sounds might be connected to the strange tracks discovered earlier that afternoon.
Whoop, whoop.
Odd calls, whoops, hollers, and screams. Beck wrote, "We heard a shrill, peculiar whistling each evening. We would hear it coming from one ridge, and then hear an answering whistling from another ridge. We also heard a sound which I could best describe as a booming, thumping sound, just like something was hitting itself on its chest." Little did the men know, they were soon going to have a face to accompany the strange clues that they'd been picking up. But they were not alone. Beck, one of the miners, whom he refers to as Hank, under a pseudonym, and I assume it's either John Peterson or Gabe Lefevre, but I'm not sure. They headed out to the spring to get water. We walked to the spring, and then Hank yelled and raised his rifle, and at that instant I saw it. It was a hairy creature, and he was about 100 yards away on the other side of a little canyon, standing by a pine tree. It dodged behind the tree and poked its head out from the side of the tree, and at the same time, Hank shot. I mean, these guys are old school. They shoot. They just shoot. See something, they shoot it.
Or they're from Florida.
I could see the bark fly out from the tree from each of his 3 shots. Now, someone may say that was quite a distance to see the bark fly, but I saw it. The creature I judged to have been about 7 feet tall with blackish brown hair. It disappeared from our view for a short time, but then we saw it running fast and upright about 200 yards down the little canyon. I shot 3 times before it disappeared from view. We took the water back to the cabin and explained the affair to the rest of the party, and we all agreed, including Hank, to go home the next morning as it would be dark before we could get to the car. And thank God, too, because my goddamn tooth hurt. I added that. Now, again, the cabin was small but sturdily built.
Yeah, they built it themselves.
Windowless. It had a stove, some bunk beds, and that's about it. The only way in or out was the front door. Now, that night, Beck's crew awoke with a start. Large stones were being hurled at the cabin wall. Chinkling from between the logs rattled and crumbled to the floor. The men of the party grabbed their rifles as the cabin began to come under a full-fledged assault. The ape-man had returned, and this time, he brought a crew of his own.
Hell yeah.
The men would later offer description of these mountain devils to the Oregonian Reporter. They are covered with long black hair. Their ears are about 4 inches long and stick straight up. They have 4 toes, short and stubby. I feel like I could have a little bit more detail, but that's what the newspaper reported. The 8 men pummeled the cabin with rocks and stones and body slams. Beck felt like they were trying to tear the damn thing to the ground. The men bunkered down, rifles ready. Beck said, "The only time we shot our guns that night was when the creatures were attacking our cabin. While they would quiet down for a few minutes, we would quit shooting. I told the rest of the party, now maybe if they saw that we were only shooting when they attacked, they might realize we were only defending ourselves. We could have had clear shots at them through the opening left by the chinkling we had chosen to shoot, but we did shoot, however, when they climbed up on our roof. We shot round after round through the roof. We had to brace the hewed long door with a long pole taken from the bunk bed. The creatures were pushing against it, and the whole door vibrated from the impact. We responded by firing many more rounds through the door." He does seem to be a little confused of when they didn't shoot. To me, it sounds like they were shooting all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Just shooting. I'm pretty much sure they were just going crazy. At one point, a hairy arm wedged its way through a hole in the wall and found the grip of a mounted axe. Fred went on, "Before the thing could pull the axe out, I swiftly turned the head of the axe upright so that it caught on the logs, and at the same time, Hank shot, barely missing my hand. The creature let go, and I pulled the handle back in and put the axe in a safe place, within reaching distance of a small child." A humorous thing I well remember was Hank singing, "If you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone, and we'll all go home in the morning." He did not mean it to be humorous, for Hank was dead serious, and sang under the impression that the mountain devils, as he called them, might understand and go away. Beck felt like they were trying to tear the whole damn cabin to the ground, but the structure of the tiny residence managed to hold the creatures off until dawn finally came. Beck eventually returned with law enforcement and found the crevice where he claims that one of the creatures fell into, but no body was ever found. Because in the morning they go outside the cabin and they could see a across the ridge, there was another one, and they opened fire. His buddy Hank shot it, and this thing tumbled backwards into the canyon, dying. So they go back into town. They tell the Rangers. The Rangers say, well, if you can figure out what these animals are, let us know. And they kind of scoffed at that. And Beck came back the next day with the local law enforcement, I think it's the sheriff and the deputy sheriff, and he pointed out to where that creature that they shot and killed in the early morning fell down. The deputy sheriff climbed down there and didn't find a body. Now, that didn't prevent the story from spreading, however. And the posses that followed, searching the mountains and valleys for similar hairy beings, went well into the weeks that came after. In fact, the canyon where the attack took place was renamed Ape Canyon. And therefore, the legend will remain part of that land forever, or until some other great encounter takes place in those hollow grounds. Beck's story may have kicked off a fleeting ape-man craze in Washington, and believers and non-believers alike point to this tall tale as either proof of the creature's existence or the all-too-common hoaxes that keep Bigfoot lore alive. However, in his book, Where Bigfoot Walks, Crossing the Dark Divide, researcher Robert Michael Pyle points out that stories of these hairy men have existed in that Washington area long before Beck's crew were allegedly assaulted. Read you guys from this book. This is a great book. Bryce, have you ever read this, Where Bigfoot Walks?
I have not, no.
Oh, dude, you would dig the F out of this. This was written in 1970, so we're like hot off the heels of Patterson-Gimlin. Bigfoot's really come back into the zeitgeist after being sort of dormant since the 1950s. Mm-hmm. And he's updated this book a couple times. I think the latest edition was in 1995, but this is from Where Bigfoot Walks by Robert Michael Pyle. Pyle writes, Mount St. Helens' connection with Bigfoot goes much further back. In his 1854 memoir, Wanderings of an Artist Among the Indians of North America, Paul Kane wrote of St. Helens, Indians assert that it is inhabited by a race of beings of different species who are cannibals and whom they hold in great dread. William Halliday, director of the Western Speleological Survey, claimed in his 1983 pamphlet that Ape Cave and the Mount St. Helens apes that the miners' attackers were actually local youths, one of whom came clean in 1982. There's a rumor that there was ridiculous. A local church group of teenagers that dressed in bearskins and tormented the miners. That's so ridiculous. And that rumors persisted that their apes were up there to keep people away from gold claims. And Pyle writes that that's the third confession of would-be hoaxers that he's heard, each with a different account. The incident inspired a fascinating...
What kind of camp counselor would let these kids get shot at? You know what I mean?
I know, it's crazy.
Doesn't make any sense.
Now, the incident inspired a fascinating response from a Native American writer. Jorg Totsky, editor of Real America... Well, he's Native American,
that doesn't
so I don't know
sound
why he's
Swedish. He was half, maybe?
Maybe. Editor of the Real American of Hoquiam, Washington, and a member of the Klallam tribe, wrote in the Oregonian of July 16th, 1924, so around the time that this happened, that big apes reported to have bombarded a shack of prospectors in Mount St. Helens are recognized by northwestern Indians as none other than the Sihatlik tribe of Indians. Now, of course, I apologize if I'm butchering the pronunciation here. We have long kept the history of the Sihatlik tribe a secret because the tribe is the skeleton in our closet. Totsky wrote, Every Indian, especially the Puget Sound tribes, is familiar with the history of these strange giant Indians. He went on to relate experience and traditions passed on by Shaker Indians at a gathering on the Skokomish Reservation by Henry Napoleon, by his own relatives, and by others in Oregon whom he visited during his research on the Sihatliks. He reported a consensus among his informants that the Sihatliks' huge, hairy bodies and their ability to kill game by hypnotism and their gift of excellent ventriloquism. They spoke, he reported, the bear language of the Klallam, as well as the bird language. They could imitate any bird, especially jays, and had a keen sense of smell and night vision. Some Northwest Indians, according to Totsky, believed that in changing from animal to man, the Sihatlik did not absorb the soul power, and thus became an anomaly in the Indians' process of evolution. So this is sort of the Native American lore behind whatever these creatures are. And what's fascinating about that to me is that this vocal mimicry replicate or sounds very similar to the stories that we hear of Bigfoot or Sasquatches that can mimic babies crying in the forest and lead people into the forest because they think that there are babies in there that are crying and endangered. The names and detail change, but the idea remains the same. Siatlik equates with Siatic, Siatich, Celtics, Salatic, Siatko, and Skaskahavas of other bands and tribes, with the more modern version, Sasquatch. The Coast Salish people of the Skagit Valley speak of Siatko or Koaget, one who runs and hides. According to their legend, Sasquatch evolved from survivors of a raid on a Salish village conducted by a northern slaving tribe. Exiled to Whidbey Island, the villagers acquired night vision and the use of invisibility, as well as body hair, size, and strength. According to a caption under a print of The Retreating Siatko by artist Frank Anton Wohl, with each decade, the Sasquatch became larger, stronger, and spiritually more powerful, thus increasingly elusive. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like other Sasquatch stuff that we've heard about them being able to shapeshift or turn invisible or slip into other dimensions.
Yeah. What's different than this is a lot of people believe that, instead of evolving from the primatological lineage, this sort of mythology is more separated as a humanoid and
a recent one
and
which is crazy.
Yeah, went to the forest and developed these sort of superpowers, super sensibilities.
A vast body of lore, this is still from the book, pertains to Steyahama, also called Stick Shower Man or Stick Man.
Stick Man.
The Yakama word means a spirit hiding under the cover of the woods. Some say the stick refers to this habitat. Others that these creatures poke sticks into lodges to extract or harass victims, or rain sticks down upon them. Some Indians consider stick men to be spirits whose names should not even be mentioned. Anyway, so that's from Where Bigfoot Walks. And our friend Fred Beck, he had an entirely different theory on where these entities come from.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
In the third and final section of his book, Beck reveals to the reader that since he was a small child, he had been a clairvoyant. He claims that a series of higher dimensional entities guided Beck and his crew to that very gold claim in the first place.
Angels,
an old Indian spirit that he called the Great Guide. And he said that he followed a glowing white arrow to the gold claim. Now, this is all in 1967. And he claimed that he had been hearing voices since a child. He lost his BB gun, and a woman came to him and told him where the BB gun was. And it was back at his house. He was out in a field, so he called his pea shooter. Couldn't find it. He was a small boy and cried. And this woman appeared to him and said, Don't worry, it's back at your house. And he went home and found it there in his room. And then years later claims he discovered his original gun still out in that field, covered in dirt, old and rusted. He claims that a series of higher dimensional entities guided he and his crew to his gold claim in the first place, and that there was a connection between the psychic field and the ape men. The abominable snowmen are from a lower plane. When the condition and vibration is at a certain frequency, they can easily, for a time, appear in a very solid body. They are not animal spirits, but also lack the intelligence of a human consciousness. That contradicts a lot of stories we heard that Bigfoot is very smart.
Well, even if what you were describing of him reaching in to grab the axe, like, doesn't that sound intelligent?
Yes, I agree. I think that they're... Also, we have to probably assume that this guy's pretty old school and considers anyone who's not from Washington State less smart than he is. But
Gotcha.
when reading of evolution, we have read many times conjecture about the missing link between man and the anthropoid ape. The snowmen are a missing link in consciousness, neither animal nor human. They are very close to our dimension and yet are part of a lower one. See, I'd argue that they come from a higher dimension than we do, or at least a neighboring one. But again, he's looking down on these entities. Beck goes on to support the idea that the bodies of these creatures are never found because, unlike the story that we heard, that they're grounded up in between ice glaciers. Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah.
They're never found because they either slip back into their dimensions at will or dematerialize upon death, much like Yoda.
Huh.
In his years since
Proper response.
In his years since his encounter at Ape Canyon, Beck says that he has been visited by the Masters, who have taught him much about the existence of the dimensions of our neighboring dimensions in the spirit realm. He closes his book with this paragraph, and I'll leave it here.
Okay.
A report recently showed 5 million Americans claim to have seen flying saucers. Material things usually make a big splash in the material world, and spiritual things often do not make a ripple there. Why? We can give proof of a phenomenon, but its nature is immersed in the spiritual and can only be explained by laws of the spiritual. But these happenings that seem strange to people is serving a very useful purpose. It is causing more people to think, and that is a path in the right direction. The abominable snowmen are just one small mystery among many.
There you go.
I kept thinking you were saying the abominable smoke.
The abominable. The Obama.
He's from Chicago. That's
Abominable. Well, because they also called, up until Bigfoot became a popular moniker in the 1950s, they used to call these entities either wild men,
Snowmen.
and they would call them the American abominable snowman. So
Is the abominable snowman not in America?
It's from
The Himalayas.
Yeah, the Himalayas.
interesting.
So, and then it became, the Yeti kind of became
That's
popular
ours.
first. And the Yeti is the one from the Himalayas.
Oh.
And then they started calling these guys the American abominable snowmen.
Where's Harry
Until
from
Bigfoot
Harry
became
and the Hendersons? Is
Pacific
he
Northwest.
American?
He's a class success.
He's
Okay.
he's a Bigfoot.
Oh, nice. A good old American, not
Yeah,
one of those
yeah.
foreign.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep
Yes.
those ones out.
Yeah. So we like to ask our guests, what the hell was that? What do you think about this story?
The first thing that I thought two things, and this is not super related, but it was interesting that it was happening in Washington, but everyone was talking to the Oregonian. I want to know what was going on with the Washington
Well,
paper at
it's,
the time.
Oregon and Washington obviously being close neighbors. They both, though, I think another Washington paper also covered it, but the story was first reported.
They got the scoop.
They got in the Oregon Reporter.
There's
got the scoop.
There's a great movie with like Michael Keaton called The Oregonian Paper that I want to see made about like this phenomenon.
Yeah, or the Oregonian maybe.
And then I thought, like, that would be like the coolest like mutant power to have if you had hypnotism and you could ventriloquism. That's all
I
you
know,
have.
that's all you
That's
need.
all you have. And like, let's see how many people you can.
That's a straight up Batman villain.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I also think before the proliferation of human beings, right, there might be other things that were sort of living around that because we've probably destroyed the habitat aren't around anymore.
Right.
But
I mean, there's a lot of prospecting, a lot of logging and mining happening.
Yeah, a lot of disrupting of nature so things could come out.
And native tribes had been not that long before driven out of a lot of these areas. But I mean, it does kind of make you think, because we did the story of Mushalat Harry over on the Patreon, over on the other side, and that's around this same time. And again, we came up with stories of indigenous tribes all saying that this sort of cannibalistic spin-off tribe of Indians were living out there, native people. And it makes you wonder, like, what if,
Thens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is exactly like, there's stories of this that sound, because they're in the book I just read from the Where Bigfoot Walks. I skipped this passage, but there's stories of the native peoples would talk about how they would play pranks on them and then also come in and steal their women, and sometimes the women would come back and sometimes the women wouldn't, and then sometimes the women would come back and give birth to hybrids. And that stuff reminded me a lot about the Thens and the wildlings from Game of Thrones. They just kind of had echoes of those stories of like wildling women, or women running off with wildling men, and men from the south running off with wildling men in Game of Thrones, or women, or both. Whatever
you're gonna do, round and round.
It's just it's fascinating to me because it makes me think, like, all right, from an anthropological viewpoint, what if there was like this like badass tribe that was still living out there that like really knew its way around the forest, really knew the sounds of the forest, had been taught like ninjas. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not? You know what I mean? And we know how let me say unworldly people could be, especially back in the 1920s. They were calling Indians savages back then. Like, is it really that much more of a leap to go, they're ape men, especially if they were wearing like bear furs or anything?
They were larger too.
Yeah. If they were like, if they're sending out their warriors to fuck with these guys.
It's weird, right? I feel like, and this could be total ignorance.
Yeah.
But I feel like
we're fueled. This
Native
podcast
Americans
is fueled by,
are not a hairy people.
Well, but I'm saying it, but they're covered with furs, like bear furs and buffalo furs.
Okay.
I don't know, but it is something to think about.
I definitely would not put that past the times for that to be,
to be like, fuck you guys.
Listen, this is a classic tale of Bigfoots attacking prospectors, and you forgot to mention, but it's true. All of his prospecting party went on record to validate and confirm the same thing. So if this is hallucination, then it happened to the entire party, because they all.
I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Oh no, I know. I'm saying, but what I'm saying is there was about the 5 people that were there. I think it's 4 or 5. They all said that they saw the same thing. There's a famed Bigfoot researcher. I can't think of his name right now, but he believes that he may have found the Fred Beck log cabin that still exists today. Near
Fred
Mount
Beck
St.
says
Helens.
it burnt down.
It burned down, but the remains are still there.
Okay.
The foundation plot is still there, and Bigfoot. It's sort of been like the the holy grail for Bigfoot researchers is they're all looking for this Fred Beck Canyon, but this guy thinks he might have.
Yeah,
found
Week in Weird actually reported about it on July 10th, 2013.
Now,
I'll throw this link up in there.
I was watching over the weekend, and when my wife was away, and I was watching all my Bigfoot movies, but it was called Missing 411, The Hunted. And David Paulides, he goes to talk to Ron Moorhead. Now, Ron Moorhead is famous for, the recordings, the audio recordings he got of these proposed Bigfoot creatures. They're called the Sasquatch Sounds, the Sierra Sounds. And he goes and interviews Ron Moorhead. Now, I used to sort of take light the Sasquatch sounds, but when you hear and you see him interview this guy, Ron Moorhead, and he shows you that this little tree fort structure that him and his men built, because they used this ground that they didn't want to let anybody else know where it was, and so they sort of created a little cabin themselves, just out of these huge tree barks and huge tree stumps, had a little doorway and everything. And they kept seeing these orbs at night too, these orbs of light, and then they would hear these sounds, these strange sounds. So the next year he brought back a tape recorder, an audio recorder, and he picked up what's now famously known as the Sierra Sounds, which are these strange, eerie, communicative sounds of these Sasquatch that seem to be sort of taunting and haunting them at this local spot near Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
But it is strange when you hear his eyewitness account and you play it against those sounds that they were picking up, and you're in those locations. But what I love too is also, I never knew that he saw orbs and these strange lights that accompanied the Bigfoot activity. It's so weird. And when you get Fred Beck, a lot of people don't know about the Fred Beck. An angel told him where the gold mine was and stuff like that. And it gets a little, but this guy was on to something, right? This guy was on to like the shape-shifting, interdimensional frequency, mimicry, infrasound, all that shit that people are reporting nowadays that come toe and toe with the Bigfoot thing, is like he was reporting it almost 100 years ago.
Robert Michael Pyle wrote in Where Bigfoot Walks in the introduction, he and his wife went up to the Mount St. Helens area because they were going to do some camping and hiking and some investigating and researching up there, and probably not far from where, because that cabin was supposed to be like 2 miles away from Mount St. Helens. But he and his wife camped for the night. All these like deer hunter came in and made all this noise, and he's like, well, fuck. And then those guys left, and he was left alone awake because his wife slept. And he said, and then the cries began.
Nope.
From the southwest
I'm
up toward the plains of Abraham, they boiled out of the night like bats from a deep and silent cave, each one an invisible note on the staff of the black sky. At first the calls resembled shrill barks, but not canine in the least. Then they accelerated in tempo, grew in volume, and rose in pitch until they sounded more like whistles.
Yeah.
I'd been studying ornithology and mammalogy with Professor Frank Richardson, a great naturalist, and we had gone over the known vocabularies of Washington's birds and mammals. I'd heard many in the field and had listened to the recordings of most of the others. I ran again through the species that might have produced a tortured concert: elk, coyote, red fox, bobcat, puma, the winter owls. The calls I was hearing were not in the repertory of any of these, as far as I knew. My back was crawling as well as yowling itself. He had a bad back that night. So I lay still and listened. The sound of the chorus changed again to suggest the crying of babies.
Yep.
This is that superpower of ventriloquism.
The
Right?
snowmobilers had long since left. There was no one up there. The cries persisted for many minutes, subsided, resumed, then played on into the pre-dawn. They might have been a dream. They were so strange and unworldly, or rather, deeply visceral, but different from anything I knew in the world. Yet this was no dream, nor was it the wine, little and long gone. Pretty great,
nice
right?
touch at the end there.
Yeah.
I feel like it was
No, this guy's a great writer.
You didn't need the wine part.
Yeah.
Now you
And I
have
was only
me
a little
think-
drunk.
I'm thinking about
Yeah.
it differently.
Crazy.
Yeah, he said his wife never woke up during the rack, and finally I dropped off to
course she
sleep.
didn't.
And when I awoke, it was dawn and the world was silent. I listened, crawled deep into my down cocoon, and slept again. I mean, this is a great book. You should check this out. It's really well written. Anyway, so yeah, that's Attack on Ape Canyon. Another high strangeness
Awesome,
for the
well
books. Paul, thank you so much
Hey,
for being on
thanks
the.
for
Any final
having me.
thoughts
Yeah.
about that? Did you?
I mean, it's, I remember when I was a kid camping. I was a camp counselor, and we were trying to find like a new camp site. We were with like little kids, and we found this like mossy area that we were gonna like be in for the night.
Yeah.
And then one of the older counselors, I was like a CIT, came and was like, we gotta leave right now, take the kids. And it was like a wolf's lair. And so we hiked maybe 4 miles away, and then at night all the wolves came from that place and like surrounded us.
Whoa.
While there's like 7-year-old kids in my lap crying. It was the craziest thing ever, but it just reminded me of like if you're in the woods and you hear sounds around you, it's like there's nothing more terrifying.
Truly.
Because you just know you're going, like if they are going to try to kill you, you are going to die.
You're in the food. You're back in the food chain immediately.
You're back in the food chain immediately.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
Wait,
you know?
what was the resolution to that story?
They didn't.
A
'cause
fox came
We
by.
were around a fire.
Could you imagine?
We were around a fire, so they didn't like. You could see
okay.
their eyes. I mean, kids were crying.
Oh,
It was
my
terrifying.
God.
But because I was a counselor, I was like, I'm not scared, even though I was like, pooping my
Terrified.
pants.
Yeah,
But
totally.
just, I mean, that's why I don't go camping to this day, because I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. to me.
Also, it's uncomfortable. I'd like to glamp. Paul,
nice.
thank you so much for
Thanks
joining us
for
on the
having me,
show.
guys. This was
Is there
great.
anything coming out soon that you would like to plug or have people
Yes.
look out for?
Yeah, my new show, Soundtrack. It is
shit.
a paranormal. It's not. It's it's a musical drama, so it's the same audience, right?
Nice.
It's
Hey,
a musical
you'd be
drama.
surprised. We've got some Crazy X fans that listen
right.
to this show, so
Yeah, it's a musical drama
Your
on
ears perked
Netflix
up.
coming out Christmas time.
get the fuck out.
Fantastic,
That's
man.
great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So thank you. Watch out for that.
Bryce, Riley, anything to plug?
We're playing Psycho Las Vegas 15th through the 18th, so that's coming right up. If you're coming, we're on main stage on Friday night. Super
And by
excited
we,
about
you
that.
mean
Spindrift, my
not
band.
Bigfoot Collectors
Not
Club.
Bigfoot. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
my band is
Yeah.
playing.
Hell yeah.
Definitely check that out.
Super pumped on it.
Bryce, any tease of when we might learn what
Not
the fuck
yet.
you've been up to?
You will be you guys will be the first to know. But in the meantime, help raise our profile on iTunes by subscribing and leaving a comment on what you think about
Rate
our
and review.
rate and review.
Please
our
do, and it's called
podcast.
Apple Podcasts now.
Yes.
No more.
Oh yeah, there's no more
iTunes.
iTunes now.
Well,
right?
there is, but it's not.
Very
We're not.
confusing.
Where it's all confusing.
Yeah.
And to that notion, definitely, if you've had a paranormal experience of your own or something you'd like to share with us, please write to us or leave us a voice memo. We want some more voice memos from you guys.
Yeah, those are
You
fun.
can open up your record app on your phone, record yourself talking, and then send it to us at BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com.
Boom.
And we will play that on a future episode if it's good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Until next week, I remain Michael McMillan for Bryce Johnson and super producer Riley Bray. Thank you again to our guest, Paul James. Until next time, you know what to do, ladies and gentlemen.
Go get regressed. Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray. Our theme song is Come Alone by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. If you like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes. It really helps get the podcast to more listeners. To support the show, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club and unlock multiple reward episodes every month.